Welcome aboard Just Jets with your captain, Matt O'Leary. Buckle up and enjoy the ride.
Hello and welcome to episode number 68 of Just Jets. What's going on? I am Matt O'Leary, back with another episode, and today we are going into some storylines from this week, like LeVeon Bell throwing massive shade at the New York Jets and at former coach Adam Gase, and of course your voicemails. But before all of that, I just wanted to mention that you should be checking out manscaped.com. Using promo code JETS20, you can save yourself 20% off on the brand new Lawnmower 4.0. You can get the cologne, refined cologne, and it is a great gift for Father's Day. Father's Day is coming up around the corner. If you're a procrastinator like me, then you're probably going to want to get on that and get dad something nice. And that's a perfect place to go to get something that every guy needs. Like, this is something, like it or not, everyone needs something from there. Or maybe if you just want to go with the cologne, that's what I'm getting my dad, then do something like that. So use my promo code JETS20 for 20% off and free shipping around the globe. All right, so let's get into the episode. Wanted to thank you guys for sticking with me because, well, I was away for Memorial Day weekend. I took a little bit of time off, which is something that I really don't do on this channel a whole lot. But it was my good buddy's bachelor party this past weekend. We were up in the Poconos for that. So I haven't made a video in probably 5 days since this goes live, which is a little crazy for me. That's, like I said, that's rare. I don't like not doing that. So with yesterday being Memorial Day and the month of May being a mental health awareness month, what I wanted to do is kind of take both of those things because it's, well, mental health is something that's close to me, and Memorial Day is a very important day for our country to recognize, the brave men and women who paid the ultimate sacrifice to protect us. So what I wanted to do from today's episode, I'll be donating any ad revenue to a charity that I've worked with in the past. It's called America's Vet Dogs. They're located here on Long Island, and basically what they do is they train dogs to be service animals for veterans. So I wanted to give back a little bit to the veteran community and just thank them for their service, because it's extremely important to do that. And with May being Mental Health Awareness Month, I also wanted to try to tie something in where it could kind of be both. So what's all the things that I love dogs. The service animals is a great aspect of it. So I thought it would be a good charity to donate to for this cause. So I'll link it in the description below and in the comments. So if you would like to partake in it, you absolutely can. No pressure, but I just was letting you know that this is what we are doing for Memorial Day and for Mental Health Awareness Month. So there we go. Let's talk about LeVeon Bell and his outrage on Twitter this past week. So LeVeon got his Twitter fingers going. It's something he's done a whole lot. And he threw some heavy shade at the New York Jets and at Adam Gase. And I get it. I think he's a little bit over the top with it sometimes, but I do understand his frustration. So we will go through it. The first one, from talking about pretty much how this started, was that he was saying 2021 is going to be his year. And I understand that mindset from an athlete. Like, he has to have that mindset. Otherwise, he should just retire. And then someone said that he's been given that the Jets gave him opportunities. He said money wise, I'm paraphrasing of the original tweet, but he comes in and says money wise, somewhat. Other than that, hell no. So he's saying that he really didn't get a good opportunity with the Jets and Adam Gase. The next tweet is when he takes his first shot at Adam Gase. He says, offensive guru, playing for an offensive guru head coach. He needs to go back and play for a defensive-minded head coach. Clearly, he is talking about Adam Gase because that's what he was coined, an offensive guru. Then goes on to say that he had more touches in 2017 than he did with the Jets in over 2 years. And he talked about how they ran him up the middle, and that was basically it. So there's a lot of things going on here, clearly. And yes, this is a former disgruntled player, so it's not like It's not no impact on the New York Jets as of this second, but just a big storyline for the last couple of years with LeVeon Bell and Adam Gase. Clearly, Adam Gase didn't want LeVeon Bell. That was very obvious. That was a Mike McCagnon decision. That was a New York Jets decision, and I understand trying to help your young quarterback. I was for the decision at the time. I just don't think they did enough around the offensive line to make that work in the end. They also didn't utilize him correctly in terms of lining him up in the slot and trying to just get the ball in his hand and have him make plays. Running Le'Veon Bell up the middle, that's not how you utilize a player like him. And they really did a poor job of getting the most out of him. At the same time, while that is true, it's also true that Le'Veon Bell underachieved and was probably a little bit washed up from sitting out a year. So both of those things can be true. It's not, oh my God, Le'Veon Bell was a complete disaster for the New York Jets. He stole money from them. It was all his fault. And it's also not all of Adam Gase's fault and not all the entire New York Jets' fault. It's probably split. I would lean a little bit more towards usage, just a touch, but clearly not the same player that he was in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh decided not to pay him. If you want to use revisionist history, it was a smart thing to do. It worked out. And the Jets paid him a chunk of change to come here and play behind a bad offensive line, and it didn't work out. Probably should have seen that coming. I thought he was talented enough to be able to do it. And on top of that, I was just trying to get anything, warm bodies in here to help the young quarterback because they had nothing else really on offense besides that. So while Le'Veon Bell ripping the New York Jets is something that isn't really a shock and doesn't have any impact on the team at this second, it's still a worthy conversation to have because of just how big of a personality or how big of a player he was. The Jets don't have, a ton of big name guys come in and play for their team, especially since they've been bad for a long time. It's not like the, 2000s or early, 2009, 2010 in that range. For the most part, the Jets have had really not really a big name guy like that since probably Brandon Marshall has came in here. I guess Jamal Adams on the defensive side of the ball, but that's why this is a big story. It's because, a star in the NFL says something about the Jets. So everyone likes to jump on it, but I wish he didn't do that on Twitter. I understand his frustration. He hasn't signed anywhere. He's waiting to get some, a call to play, and he's probably frustrated with A, that he's not playing or not signed right now, and B, at the same time, how things didn't work out with the New York Jets. So I think it's a mix of both. But again, no surprise. Adam Gase pushed stars away. He did it in Miami. He did it in New York. All of it's true. It's not just on Adam Gase. It's not just on the player, but it's a key factor in all of this. So definitely something that we unfortunately had to deal with, and hopefully never again with Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas. So on to brighter times for the New York Jets, we hope. And I'm glad that this nonsense is in the rearview mirror. That's basically the point that I wanted to make out of all this, is that the nonsense is over. No more circus. Robert Saleh, Joe Douglas running a tight ship. This is Zach Wilson's team, and let's get after that. So now what we can do is get into your voicemails this week. First one, let's go to Bigums in North Carolina. Wants to talk about some camp battles. Let's hear from him.
What's going on, Matt? This is Bigums from North Carolina. Listen, I got a question. Of course, we've seen the draft. I like the draft. I get a draft name for the Jets. My thing is, what to you are going to be the biggest camp battles that's going to have the most impact on the team this year going forward? I'm looking at the cornerback position and possibly the running back position, and what they're going to do with P. Ryan or Tevin Coleman. Then you got a lot of guys, young guys in the back end, like, Elijah Dunn. You still have Jason Pinnock and those guys. So what to you is going to be the most intriguing camp battle going into this season? Like the show, tell Ryan and Green Bean I said, what's up? Holler at me, though.
Will do. Thank you so much for checking in, Bigums. I got a couple for you. I'll give you three in no particular order. I agree. Cornerback is definitely a big one because as of right now, who's your number one corner? Bryce Hall, probably. And then Bless Austin on the outside, and then one of Javelin Guidry or Michael Carter the second on the slot. So corner is definitely going to be interesting how that shakes out. I still think they add a veteran there, whether it's bringing back Brian Poole or bringing in someone like a Richard Sherman or Steven Nelson. Like, I really think they add something there because it's a huge risk to go that thin or that young at the position. But we'll see what happens there. It'll still be intriguing to see in camp and in preseason what happens there. Running back is completely up for grabs. I really think Michael Carter is going to end up on top. I think it'll be Michael Carter and Ty Johnson as the 1-2 punch. Tevin Coleman will come in every once in a while, but more of a veteran just for the room. I don't think he's going to have a huge role. And Michael Pirine, I don't think is a good fit in this offense. Right guard is another one that I think is going to be interesting because Alex Lewis took a pay cut to stay. So it's Lewis, Van Roten, and oh my God. I was just about to say Cam Clark. I was just about to say his name. I don't know why I blanked on it. It's going to be one of those three guys starting at right guard. I'm hoping it's going to be Cam Clark. I'm rooting for the guy. If he's not ready, obviously don't put him in, but it would be nice if the Jets were able to grab a mid-round tackle and move him to guard and have it work out. That'd be sick. But I think it's going to be one of those three guys, and I'm intrigued to see what the final offensive line is going to look like. So those are really the three key positions that I'm looking at. The rest, I don't really think you're going to have too much battles going on. I think we pretty much know how it's going to shake out. So thanks for checking in, Bigums. Let's go to Travis in Ohio. Wants to talk AVT versus Joe Thuney.
Hey, man.
Yo.
Travis from Ohio.
What up?
Hope that you had a memorable Memorial Day with the fam and girlfriend.
Thank you.
You tall, sexy son of a bitch.
You kill me.
What do you think of us getting AVT for a cheap 5-year contract instead of overpaying for Toomey, who all of us wanted, for a 5-year, $80 million contract with guarantees? AVT can play all over the line, and which would you rather have now in retrospect? I know my take, but I want to always and respect yours. My brother from a different mother. Love you. Go Jets. Bye.
Thank you, Travis. Appreciate you, buddy. Yeah, so at the time in free agency, I wanted Joe Thuney so bad just because I thought he was a perfect fit. But when it didn't work out, the next thought was, okay, the Jets have to use the draft to address that position. And they did a really, really good job at it. And I think you can make the case for both sides here. I guess I'm going to say AVT because I'm confident that he is going to be a Pro Bowl or all-pro caliber offensive lineman next to Mekhi Becton at a very young age. The thing is, you know what Joe Thuney is, and you're hoping that AVT can get to that point. I am confident that he is, but it really goes back to this. At the time of free agency, the people were hitting the panic button because they didn't get one of Corey Linsley or Joe Thuney. I said, okay, wait, hold on. Pump the brakes a second, and let's see how the rest of the offseason plays out, including the NFL draft. And I think Joe Douglas did a good job of addressing an obvious need at guard with Elijah Vera Tucker. So I'm very happy with it. You're not going to hear me complain, and I'd probably go Elijah Vera Tucker on the cheap deal than having to pay Joe Thuney, $80+ million, whatever it was. James in New Jersey is up next, and James would like to talk about the legend himself, Dan Feeney.
Hey, Matt, it's your boy James from New Jersey. What's going on, man?
What up,
You had
bro?
a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. I hope you're having fun with your family and friends. Question, man. I know you mentioned before, you talked about Dan Feeney, how obviously he went viral at the New York Islanders game, and obviously you would love to have him as a party man or a wingman, but you would not want to have him on your line. Just more about I just want to know a little bit more about like your intake on Dan Feeney, because I just was delving through some Dan Feeney clips from like a little bit of Indiana and during the Chargers a little bit. And he's still an okay player, but I don't have an eye on these type of stuff. You do more, man. So just give me more info, your intake on Dan Feeney and what you think he can make an impact for the Jets. He's a great player, but he looked like he had like some type of New York-esque vibe to him with the whole mullet thing and the stash and him chugging beer during holidays. So who knows? He may not be a great player, but he might just make some type of splash or some type of New York-ish to him. If you know what I'm talking about. Tell me what you think, man. Thank you for listening. I hope you get this. And as always, go Jets. Thank you, man.
Yeah, thank you, James. I really want to root for Dan Feeney so badly. Seems like a great guy. Seems like so much fun. He's just not very good. The Chargers, he was the starting center for the Chargers last year, and he gave up 4 sacks, 5 quarterback hits, and 33 total pressures. They thought so highly of him that they gave Corey Linsley $62.5 million to come play center. And obviously that's a clear upgrade, and I know you're not saying that Dan Feeney's on the same level as Corey Linsley. I'm just saying that clearly they didn't think of him enough to bring him back to start for them. They went out and paid the best center on the market. And Dan Feeney was brought in here to be a backup. I do not see him starting under any circumstances. The fact that Alex Lewis was brought back for cheaper money tells me that he is sticking. I think he's going to stick around. So having Lewis, having Greg Van Roten, having Cam Clark, and having Dan Feeney, like, he's so far down on the depth chart. I would be surprised if he starts any games for the New York Jets, even if there are injuries. So I think he's going to be cool with the mullet and the mustache and all that. And, like, again, I want to root for this guy. I want him to be good. I want him to prove me wrong. But just based on what we've seen, not a good player. I think he is a backup at best on this team. Michael in North Carolina is up next. And thank you again for James for calling in. He wants to talk about buying a jersey and who's safe.
Hey, Matteo, how you doing, brother? It's Michael from Raleigh, North Carolina. Just calling in with a question for you. First, I want to start off by saying great job with the content. Love the show. Appreciate everything you do. Keep up the good work.
Thank
you. So
you.
my question is, recently I got tickets for my girlfriend and her 11-year-old daughter to the Jets versus Panthers. So really excited about that. I haven't been to a Jets game since Brett Favre was the quarterback, and they've never been to any professional sporting event. So we're all real pumped. But they did ask if I can get jerseys for them, and that kind of begged the question to me, who do I feel comfortable buying a jersey for, just kind of given how young the team is and just being burned in the past by getting a lot of jerseys and the players end up going to other teams or just getting cut or whatever. So as far as what I'm thinking right now, on the defensive side, I'm thinking maybe Marcus May, if he does sign an extension just because he's a homegrown guy. He'll probably be on the team for most of his career. He's been pretty productive. Maybe Quinnen Williams. And on the offensive side, I was thinking actually maybe Elijah Moore. Just think he's got big playability. Just kind of see him as someone who probably can stick around, a flashy guy. We'll hear his name a lot. Definitely not doing quarterbacks, so don't even suggest Zach Wilson. Just 'cause all the, I had a Sanchez jersey, a Geno Smith jersey, so I'm not going there. Almost bought a Darnold one. Thank God I didn't do that.
I did.
So just wanted to get your thoughts on that, man. If you were in my situation, what jerseys would you buy for a girlfriend and her daughter when you're trying to get them into the Jets and turn them into Jets fans? So appreciate the call, brother. Keep up the good work and go Jets.
Thank you, buddy. You're in a tough spot, my friend, especially taking Zach Wilson off the board. Okay. So May is super risky only if he re-signs. You don't want to have a guy's jersey for just 1 year. Quinnen on the defensive side is probably a good one. I think Quinnen Williams is safe. He should be here for a while. Mekhi Becton, do you want an offensive lineman's jersey? If so, Mekhi Becton or Elijah Vera Tucker 72 could be pretty cool. Or is he 74? No, Becton 77. No, 75. Wow, I am way off. I'm all over the place. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. Moore, I think that's a good one. I'd like to add in Denzel Mims. I like him a lot. I'm pretty high up on him, so I think he would be a good one. But if Zach Wilson's not on the board, if May resigns, I'm good with May. Quinnen's a good one. Moore is a very good one. I would like to throw in Denzel Mims and maybe one of the offensive linemen, whether it's AVT or Mekhi Becton. But if you want to go a little bit more on the flashy side, Moore's number 8, I think, would look really cool. So how about that? That's my answer for you, Michael. Ben in New Jersey is up next. He wants to talk, speaking of Elijah Moore, wants to talk about Moore and Michael Carter.
What's up, Matt? It's Ben from Jersey. There's not really much going on in Jets line right now. It's kind of the dead part of the offseason. So I just figured I'd ask a few questions about our offense, specifically our two rookies. Our two skill position rookies, not named Zach Wilson, that were drafted. So in the 4th round, obviously we drafted slot receiver Elijah Moore. I thought it was a puzzling pick at first, considering we had, I think, 4 starting caliber receivers. But Elijah Moore is really good. Like, he's a first-round talent, and I think Crowder's days are numbered as a Jet. He'll probably play this season now, but He'll probably be gone by next year. So where do you
That's fair.
think Elijah Moore stands in the offense? Like, what percentage of the snaps do you think he'll get in the slots compared to Jameson Crowder? You think he'll get more of the snaps? Do you think Crowder get more of the snaps? Do you think he'll be 50-50? What do you think his role will be in the offense? Second question. We drafted Michael Carter in the 4th round. He's probably the 4th best running back in the class. We got him in round 4. Obviously, we're going to be running a committee of backs with Carter, Ty Johnson, and Tevin Coleman. What are the percentages of snaps do you think Carter will get early on? And what week do you think Carter will be the bell cow back, so to speak? Maybe there isn't really a bell cow back in the offense, but I guess the first down running back. Let me know what you think. As always, go Jets.
Thank you, for calling in there, Ben. This is an interesting topic. We'll start with Moore and then work our way back to Michael Carter. With Elijah Moore, I think he's going to line up in the slot at times, but I do think that Crowder is going to get a majority of those reps. And to me, I think he is someone who comes in special packages. Maybe you give him the ball on some jet sweeps. You line him up in the backfield. Kind of a little bit of a gadgety guy in his first year and a punt returner. I think that'll be his main roles this year, and then develop a little bit more because, as you said, Crowder's not going to be here in 2022. So Elijah Moore is going to have a bigger role in year 2. But I think, there'll be a couple of games where he goes off and puts up some pretty decent numbers. But I'm looking at maybe like 500 to 600 yards for Elijah Moore receiving this year. And as for Michael Carter, I think he could be the guy from day one. I think he's the most talented running back on the roster. I don't think they're going to have an 1,000-yard rusher. They might not have an 800-yard rusher, but they might have 2-3 guys in that 600s or 700 range. And I would think that Michael Carter and Ty Johnson are going to be the 1-2 punch, with Coleman as the third running back behind them. That's just my take on it. Those are the ones who I think are going to get the most touches. Again, it's going to be pretty close on those running backs, but I think Carter is clearly the most talented one on the roster. Next up is Tyreek. He is calling in from Staten Island, wants to talk about Julio Jones.
Hey, how you doing, man? It's me, Tyreek, again, calling for the second time or third time, calling from Staten Island. I seen your video about, the Julio Jones. The Jets over the years has been lacking a lot of scoring and not throwing the ball a lot. I'm an offensive-minded person, and I love the defense too. But my thing is scoring points. That's why we never went to the Super Bowl or anything like that, because we don't score enough points. We score touchdowns and we stop. You got to take shots downfield. So Julio Jones, okay, unless they traded him to the Jets for a 1 pick or something like that, because we only supposed to get 7 picks next year, and why not go for 1 pick? We all could use the help that we could need to help out Zach Wilson. And, if he's going to go somewhere else, let him go somewhere else. But it's not going to happen because there's no rumors. There's no type of talk about bringing him in or whatever the case may be. And, what about the other wide receivers that we had that never really played was the Jeff Smith and the other Smith guy, number 16, 17. I don't know too much about them 2 wide receivers. Have they ever played? We never even heard of. We should have tried to keep the guy that we had in 2019, Demaryius Thompson, the one that used to play for the Broncos, who had that miracle touchdown with Tim Tebow. Anybody who's tall and physical can help out. And other teams are signing people. Why can't we do it? You know what I mean? Even though we traded out for that guard, that we got, but we could have got another wide receiver in the draft. It's not about just one guy. We have to spread the ball around. We have a tough schedule this year. What? And we have to win more than 4 games. I'm tired of us failing. Even when Sam Darnold was there, we have to be able to put more guys around our quarterback and spread the ball around, so this way Zach Wilson could do his thing, run and throw the ball, get out the way, make something happen. It's been years since we had that.
You lost me here on this one. I'm going to be honest. So, Demaryius Thomas, I didn't think he was a good Jet. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I didn't think he was I think he was cooked. Julio Jones is 31 years old, 32 maybe. And you still have 3 years on that deal left at a pretty significant chunk of change in order to get Julio Jones in here. And you're going to have to give up a high pick to get that done. Where's he fitting in here? I understand he would be a number 1 receiver, but who's getting the axe? You just gave Corey Davis a ton of money. Denzel Mims was drafted in the second round last year. Elijah Moore was drafted in the second round this year. Jamison Crowder is still on the roster. Keelan Cole is on the roster. If Keelan Cole is your number 5 receiver, you have a pretty deep receiving core. And I know there's no star, so I guess some people just don't see the name recognition on like a big, huge name guy and think that Jets wide receivers stink. They don't. They do have a bunch of targets that they could spread the ball around to. We just listed it off, but they had two or three running backs that we're confident in going into next year. You have the 5 wide receivers that I just rattled off. You have the potential of Chris Herndon. You have Kenny Oboa, who a lot of people like and thought was going to be, like a 4th rounder this year, who was an undrafted free agent. I don't think this is necessary. I love Julio Jones. He was a top 3 receiver in football. He's probably still a top 10 receiver in football. But how are you fitting him in here? And are you willing to give up a first or a second in order to get that done? I'm not. I would rather spend that at a more important position than trading for a over 30 wide receiver who would only probably help you for the next 2 or 3 years instead of getting a piece that you could help build and grow with your young quarterback. That's just me. Manny in South Carolina is last. He wants to talk about if it's possible to trade Crowder at the deadline.
Hey, Matt, it's Manny. I'm calling from Charleston, South Carolina, and I wanted to touch on both sides of the ball. First, I'll start on offense with the wide receivers. When you kind of look at it, the wide receiver room is kind of crowded, in my opinion. You have Davis, obviously, Crowder, Mims, and you just drafted Elijah Moore. So I was thinking, with Crowder and Moore both being in the slot, do you think possibly during the season at the deadline you could move Crowder? So basically it would be see who's more productive before the deadline, and you're not going to move Moore. So if Crowder's underperforming, then you could trade him. That's just a thought. I'm not really sure. And then I'll go to the defensive side of the ball with the linebackers. This isn't really a question, just like a take. I feel like CJ Mosley is going to come back and he's going to be really good. Like, people forget that he was like maybe top 8 linebacker just 2.5 years ago. Even though we may have overpaid for him, he's still here, and I think he's still a really good player. Like, week 1 in 2019 in that Bills game, he was amazing until that injury. And you rushed him back against the Patriots in 2019, and he was out for the rest of the season. Obviously, he opted out last year. But I just think that he's going to be really, really good for us next year. And the leader of that defense, and he's a veteran, so I also think he might be able to coach up some of the young guys. And, yeah, that's it. And as always, go Jets, and I love the podcast. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think you bring up 2 good points here. The first with Crowder, and then we'll get to Mosley in the back half of this. So to me, with Jamison Crowder, I think you keep him on this roster. And if Elijah Moore plays well enough to where you don't necessarily need Crowder and there's not a ton of injuries, then okay. Flip Crowder at the deadline for a mid-round pick and you're good. You're golden. If that's not the case, if there's injuries or if Moore's coming on slow or if Wilson's playing well and the Jets are competing down the stretch, then okay, keep him and let him walk in the offseason. I'm not worried about losing him for nothing in free agency. If you get the extra pick, great. If you help the young development of your quarterback in year 1, also fine. I'm good either way. I don't think it's a crazy take or out of the realm of possibilities to move him. I'm just not, being like, oh yes, definitely trade Jamison Crowder. There are scenarios where you can, move him and it would make sense at the deadline. And there are also reasons to keep him around. So it really depends on how the season's going. And with CJ Mosley, I don't know if he's ever going to be the player that he once was with the Baltimore Ravens and even what we saw in that first 3 quarters of the Bills game in 2019. But I think he could be a solid starter, and the Jets don't really have much in that linebacker room. It's very, very, very weak, and it's young. So I think having the veteran, and he's going to be here for probably 2 more years with how his contract is laid out, you're going to hope that he's 75% of the player he was. That would be good. I'd sign up for that. If it's more, great. If not, well, then you're probably in a little bit of trouble. But I like him, and I am very much so rooting for him. And I would think he would play relatively well in this system that Robert Saleh designed. And he's a linebacker coach himself, or as a former linebacker coach in Robert Saleh. So I like Mosley. I'm not like, oh my God, he's going to be, the comeback player of the year, a defensive player of the year candidate. But I think he could be solid. And that's what the Jets need right now, because they don't have a ton of solid players on this roster. But that's going to do it for me. I want to thank you again for sticking with me. And I know the episode's a day late, but wanted to do that for Memorial Day weekend, take some time off. Was able to spend it with some friends as we were getting ready to celebrate him getting married in a few weeks. So it was an absolute blast. And once again, if you are interested in donating to the charity that the revenue from today's video is going to go to, or today's podcast episode rather, it's America's Vet Dogs. And I will link that down below in the description. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Once again, I'm Matt O'Leary, and I will talk to you next time.